Me this afternoon for Let's Grow to Lunch, where I talk about authentic dialogue. I know Facebook is searching to see if anyone's going to join, so I'm going to wait just a moment to see if anyone can watch while they chew on their lunch or whatever you're doing today. What's up, Tyler? Thanks for joining. Let's see if we get some more folks. Just wait a second here, let a couple more folks join, then I'm going to get right into it, into what I call Let's Grow to Lunch. Let me, I didn't even put that in my description. I want to put that really quick. Let's grow to lunch. I hope you all are enjoying your day. What's up, Michael? What's up, Mylisha? How y'all doing? Thanks for jumping on. Oops, I spelled that wrong. It's Let's Grow to Lunch. There we go. All right. So I want to jump on, which I explained last week. I did a video on Thursday of last week where I explained that I'm going to be doing these videos called Let's Grow to Lunch, where during your lunch break, I'm going to take some time to share with you all some things that, some things that I teach when I do dialogue trainings for groups, for individuals, for couples, for schools, for organizations, business partners, etc. And I want to start sharing those things live to start giving you all some nuggets to chew on to increase awareness for what authentic dialogue is as a communications framework. So with that being said, today I want to talk about the idea of asking you all if you're willing to improve your relationships, because we all come into our relationships, no matter if they're personal or professional, typically doing things the way that relating to people in ways that we were related to as we were growing up. And unfortunately, we know that a lot of those ways of relating with one another, I would say, just haven't been ultimately effective. And what I would say would equal being ultimately not effective, and that's like a nice way of saying, if you find yourself arguing, yelling, screaming, crying, feeling unheard, feeling unlistened to, always butting heads with the people you're in partnership with, I believe that we have kind of grown to think that's normal, but it's not. And it doesn't always have to be that way. And that's what I enjoy teaching and sharing with folks when they come into the understanding of authentic dialogue. So with that being said, last week I talked about the fact that in order for authentic dialogue to occur, the two parties or more have to opt in. They have to agree to wanting to dialogue. And in addition to opting in, you also have to be willing to learn new skills. So whenever I go out to do a workshop, I share with the participants a document that talks about the rights, responsibilities, and the skills of dialogue. And in order for true dialogue to occur, it needs to take place in a protected environment where everyone is understanding this is what I'm coming to do, and they're kind of putting on their dialogue hat instead of just defaulting to the old ways or the ways that we traditionally communicate with one another. And within this environment of dialogue, it has to take place within the space where there's mutually accepted rights, and responsibilities that are rooted in two fundamental values. Number one, respect for the other human being, okay? And number two, trust in the process of dialogue. So do you respect the person? Sometimes I would say the answer is, I know that we respect. If we wouldn't be in a relationship with someone if we didn't respect them. A lot of times, unfortunately, we just don't know how to move in a way that's about mutual respect, because we've been raised in a dominance construct. We've been raised in a society of hierarchy that says others have power over others. So you respect people because you're supposed to respect people just because if they have a position of power, etc., as opposed to being in a space of mutual respect. So dialogue is all about learning mutual respect and how to still get things done outside of that dominance hierarchy. So with that being said, it also works, again, if you're willing to learn new skills. So the first skill that I'm going to talk about today is the idea that each person should be able to evaluate and articulate their own attitudes, values, and positions on issues within the context of the dialogue. So basically, the right that each person has is the right to define themselves without being labeled by others. Okay, so the skill goes with the right. So let's start with the right. The right that you have, the right that everyone has within a dialogue is that they have the right to define themselves. Basically, at the root, what is that? Agency, right? Everyone has agency. And when you come into a dialogue, you have to accept that everyone has that agency. Everyone has the right to define themselves. You can't define them, and etc. Right? Society can't define them. You can't define them. And in order for that to happen, you have to be willing to seriously question your assumptions about other people. You have to be willing to like question your assumptions, as well as put your assumptions to the side in order to let the person in front of you show up as their most authentic self. And in order for let that person in front of you, show up, as their most authentic self and have the agency to define themselves without without any labels, etc. So at the foundation, that's so important. It seems simple. It seems like, oh, well, everyone does it. But in reality, we have so many, again, we've been indoctrinated. We've been conditioned to think that, people have to be a certain way, just depending on whatever label, whatever the context of the relationship is, whether it be a man that's communicating with a woman and a woman supposedly has a place, whether it be a parent communicating with a child and the child's supposed to stay in a child's place, whether it be a boss communicating with their subordinate or their employees, etc., or someone has more money than others, like all these different dominance hierarchies that have been like downloaded into us that we think about subconsciously. We don't even think about it because it's like subconscious. And when you enter into a space of dialogue, authentic dialogue, all that goes out the window. Two people or more show up and are able to articulate who they are within the context of that dialogue. And that is a skill that has to be learned. So that is the first skill that I'm going to discuss. And as we go along day by day, when I jump on very briefly, I'm going to get into, different skills and responsibilities of dialogue. And if you want to ask any questions, you can. As of right now, I don't see any, but I'm sure as people get used to me doing this, you all may pop in with some questions, and I'm willing to answer some questions as well. So for those of you who jumped on live to watch it, what's up, Mercer? What's up, Jeff Key? How y'all doing? Good to see y'all. I appreciate it. And for those of you who are going to watch later, continue to stay tuned. At least 3 days a week, I'm going to jump on and do these Let's Grow to Lunch conversations about authentic dialogue. You can learn some more information at the website, growdialogue.com. And until next time, I love y'all. Peace.